Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome creative management consultant, Mr. Bob Manna.
Thank you. Knowledge has the right to judgment. Not title, not position, not age, not seniority, not location within the organization, but knowledge. The only way any organization can succeed is to make the correct decisions and have a system to carry them out. The best way to make a good decision is to invite those people who have the most knowledge in on the decision-making process. Just let me tell you one little story to emphasize the point, and then I won't say any more. Back about 7 or 8 years ago, before we got very sophisticated in digital electronics, when a submarine would fire a torpedo, it had on board that torpedo a radio transmitter receiver and servo mechanisms, little things that you can control that make the elevator and the rudder change remotely. And after the torpedo would be fired, it would use its sensing devices, whether they were metallic or infrared or sonar, whatever system that it was using to find its target. And if it couldn't find it, it would send back the signal. For instance, if the torpedo knew it was going to go under the keel of the intended target, it would go boom, boom, and the guy would hear this. And the captain on the submarine would say to his sonar man, "What's it saying?" And the sonar man saying, "It's saying it's going to miss." He said, "Fix it." So they'd hit a couple of dials, and they'd send out this signal from the submarine, and they'd bring the elevator up, and this old torpedo would come up. And if it was going to go left or right, it would go, and the captain would say, "What's the torpedo saying?" He'd say, "Gonna miss." "Well, fix it." And they would. Now, you see, the only thing the torpedo sent back to the submarine was bad news. But it was the truth. Bad news. By the way, do you know what a torpedo says when it's good news? Boom! Now, if you walk back into your office Monday and it's quiet, guess what? What's the boom in business? Nobody quit. Absenteeism is down. People aren't late. I notice they're hanging around after 5 o'clock. That's the boom. You know what? You don't get a boom unless you say to people, "Please tell me the truth, even if it's bad news." See, the bad news is what kills you. I've even now tried to get people to do pathological research. You know what that means? That means figure out why the damn thing didn't work that just died. You come up with a great idea and you put $1 million into it and it dies. So what do you say? You say, "Get him, he's the guy that had it, it died." No, that's not what you want to do. Why did it die? Because if it died, it was a management problem. The process by which that decision got made could be questionable. And of course, dumb luck will always play a role in things. But don't let something die without asking why. That's the key to manage the process by which these decisions get made.
Broadcasting by Robert Manna. Broadcasting has nothing whatever to do with the radio business or the television business. It does have to do with the creative process and how you go about encouraging the process. Manna runs seminars to encourage creative thinking, and actually the book is evolved out of these seminars. He puts candidates through 3 simple tests to check their creativity. He did, and I'd like to tell you I only made about 30% on the test. And the more disciplined your way of making a living, says Robert Manna, the more likely you are to be uncreative in your thinking. It comes from schooling, I guess.
If you look at what our system of education is primarily doing, is taking the events that society has determined essential and it transfers them through the teacher to the student. Now, one way to measure that that's been done is for the student to give back to the teacher that which the teacher says you should know. In other words, it's safer to do something a little bit better that's already been established as correct than it is to have an abrupt departure. You see, if you fail doing something that somebody else has tried and failed at least you're among friends. But if you fail doing something no one's ever done before, you're considered a failure. Not another one who's attempted and failed, but one who has simply failed. Even in marketing, this is popular. There are a lot of organizations who say, we market on the strength that if you fail with us, at least you fail with a group.
I'm Alex Burton, KRLD News.
A just cause unjustly decided is the fault of the presenter. There are 2 components to that statement, just cause and presenter. If your just cause your product or service or whatever it is you offer as a product is really just, if it has merit, if it's a good thing, and it's not getting a fair play, guess what? It's your fault. It is not the fault of the product. It's the fault of how you're presenting the product. So let's define communication as it's defined by customer DNA. Communication is what our mind makes of the messages that come through our senses. Communication is not the message you send. It's not what you put in your ad. Communication is what your customer's mind makes of the ad. And if I don't understand that and parlay with it, I'm not going to get my ad across to you successfully either. Because advertising is nothing more than pure and simple communication. But that pure and simple is difficult to comprehend.